Hey my friends, welcome back to our channel. I'm guessing that you guys are here because you're thinking about having a water feature of your own, and this video is to help you to make an educated and realistic decision on what's the perfect water feature for you. Guys, I'm going to cover the pros and cons of pondless waterfalls, ecosystem ponds, and fountainscapes, and I've owned all three. I'm super excited for you guys because I know whatever you decide, it's going to change the way you spend time with people outside. Guys, I'm John Adams with Modern Design Aquascaping, and our team builds world-class ponds, fountains, and waterfalls out of natural stone and wood, and it's my pleasure to educate and inspire the world about ponds and water features. So let's get right to it. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Oasis. All right, let's fire this thing off. The first thing I'm going to talk about is an ecosystem pond, because that is my absolute favorite. Some people call them garden ponds, wildlife ponds, whatever your terminology is for it. It is the most fantastic, comprehensive water feature that you can possibly enjoy. So let's talk about the things that I love about ponds. The first thing I want to get to is that it's living water. You're creating a space with living water. It's not sterilized, it's not chlorinated. It's a habitat, it's a sanctuary for wildlife, and it's in your face, right in your space, where you can just bring nature right in close and experience it every day with the ones you love. I have even had several of our clients add bird feeders and apply and be granted their property as a certified wildlife habitat. Everything is drawn to water, and when you bring this into your space, you'll understand why. I'm guessing that you yourself are mostly water. Saying, you know, another thing about ponds is the effect that they have, I'm gonna say, on the youth, even though it's gonna have the same effect on you. Ponds are subconsciously teaching people a lesson about life, about our planet's precious resources, about the ramifications of our behavior, and what effect that has on a body of water. For children, it gets their mind in a place where they really understand the little things that we do, and it gets them to fall in love with nature. It gets them outside, guys. It gets them off their devices. Can we possibly create a space where the kids would rather be than inside on their Xbox at all times and in all directions? A pond is going to create a space where people go to connect. You know, it's one of our taglines is relax, enjoy, connect. It's a real thing, guys. People go sit by a pond and they talk. It's really strange. They put down their phones and they have conversations. It gets you out in the fresh air, out in the sunshine, and man, does that feel good. One of my favorite, if not my most favoriteest part of ponds are fish and plants. That's the part of the nature I was talking about. I actually have a fish that we acquired that's in one of our clients' pond, and that fish has been in our family for over 30 years. These fish recognize faces. They recognize voices. When I come out with the bag of food, they see the bag. It's such an amazing experience to come sit out by the pond and relax and just decompress. There's a ton of medical data that shows that sitting by a pond or a waterfall, the sound of moving water, all of these things are healthy for our bodies, for our energy, for our stress levels. You can go down that rabbit hole all on your own because there is so much information out there about the healing effects of water in your life. And guys, this right here is one amazing way to make it happen. So now that I've covered all of my favorite things about my favorite water features, let's talk about the cons of owning a pond and what the downside might be for you. Some of the things that pop into my mind right off the bat are that you can't turn it off. So that could potentially be a downside for you. And if you have a really busy lifestyle and you're traveling all the time and you don't have somebody available that can take care of your stuff, maybe this isn't the right water feature for you. Another thing that I thought of is the amount of real estate you have to have for a pond. And while you don't have to have something nearly as as large and elaborate as what we've got out here at the Oasis, it does take a little more room than having a fountain or a waterfall in your space. So I would think that realistically, kind of a 12-foot by 12-foot area would be an absolute minimum for a pond, even if it's this is a small pond, to be able to have some land plants around the outside of it and some ground covers and make something that's going to be beautiful when you get finished with it. So that could potentially be a limiting factor for you in having a pond. Guys, I'm not going to turn this into a how to maintain a water feature video, but let's just suffice it to say that it's a little more work to take care of a pond than it is the other style of water features. So 15-20 minutes a week during the summertime is something that you're either not willing to pay somebody else to do or you can't manufacture enough time to do. That's about what an average water feature takes to keep it looking pristine. So time restraints and the amount of work for maintenance is realistic. There's no such thing as a maintenance-free anything, I don't think. And a pond is no different. Guys, let's talk about predators. This is definitely one of the downfalls of pond ownership, and it's because everything loves the taste of fish. It's true. There are hawks, osprey, eagles, raccoons, herons of multiple kinds, everything. Everything wants to eat fish. There's a lot of animals out there and fish is on the menu. So truly, you do become the steward of your animals, and sometimes people lose fish to nature. That is a potential downfall of having a pond, but man, don't let it stop you. The last thing I'm going to talk about is my YouTube hashtag, koi addiction. I could have another one called pond addiction. It's like having a fish tank. If you're into this sort of thing, guys, one leads to a bigger one, leads to a bigger one. A really nice pond costs a pretty penny. So effectively, you're going to have to spend a good bit of money to build a pond, and there's the cost of maintenance. Once a year, you're going to want to do a clean out on this thing. You're going to want to add a patio because you're going to need someplace to sit next to your pond. You're going to want to add lighting. It's just a rabbit hole. You're going to fall in love with this outdoor experience, and it's going to become a place that you're happy to invest your money in, just like me. But on the front end, I'm going to tell you that cost could be a prohibitive factor that might be a decision maker for you in owning a pond. Guys, let's move on to the next water feature. Let's talk a little bit about pondless waterfalls and what I love about those. Guys, let's just start out with real estate, man. A pondless waterfall takes less real estate than a pond. So if you've got a smaller space to work with, you can do a cooler waterfall in a smaller space than you can do a cooler pond in a smaller space. That makes sense. I don't know anyways. You know what I'm trying to say. So the next thing I want to talk about pondless waterfall pros is when you build a recirculating waterfall, it's a little easier to set it and forget it. We've had people design them with switches in the house where they could flip a switch to turn on the waterfall. They could switch a flip to turn on the lighting. So you can make it very versatile, a fast experience for you to just be able to come out and do your thing, flip your grill on, flip your waterfall on, sit down, have your 30 minutes of magic, and leave. So for a super busy timeline, lifestyle kind of person, a pondless waterfall is probably right for you. Guys, a pondless waterfall is less work than a pond. I mean, short of the debris that captures on top of your reservoir for clean out, you just have a little less to do because there's not as much going on. Another pro of a pondless waterfall is that you still get the healing, chilling, like that, chilling effects. It's not really cold, you know what I'm saying, like Zen chill. You get those effects from a pondless waterfall. Every time I inevitably go back to somebody's house, they're showing me people's photos in front of their waterfall. It's gonna be a space that you're gonna fall in love with. It's gonna be that place where you connect with your people. And the nighttime ambiance, you can still get it, man. You can still have that outdoor evening entertaining lifestyle experience with the pondless waterfall. So you don't feel like you're gonna lose that when you don't have a pond. You still get that portion of the experience. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is that you still get nature. It's still living water. Unless you're one of those people who's pouring bleach into it, please, Lord, don't do that. You can still have frogs and tadpoles and all the critters and the bees and things that come to natural water features. You can still create this living, healthy ecosystem environment and allow nature to experience it with the pondless waterfall. You don't have to do without that. So these are all great things about Pondless Waterfalls. I hope that helps you decide if this might be the right water feature for you. Guys, let's talk about the things that might make you unhappy about Pondless Waterfalls. So let's just blaze through the cons of a pondless waterfall, because there's really not a lot of things about a pondless waterfall for a person not to like. The first and foremost thing I'm gonna say, you don't get fish. That breaks my heart. And people, you don't know how amazing the experience of fish is until you've had a pond with fish. So I highly recommend that you go visit a couple water features as well before making a decision, and talk to the people that own them. The no fish thing ties right into no aquatic plants. If you set your pondless waterfall up where you can turn it on and off as you need be, you're not going to be able to put aquatic plants in the feature, because when you turn it off, all the water drains down and it's no longer aquatic, it's dry. So that could potentially be a downfall. As you can see, I love my aquatic plants, and we have a huge variety of them out here. I believe that aquatic plants lend a whole nother realm of color and texture to your garden space, and it's a huge asset. So that for me is a big downer potentially if you have a pondless waterfall. No pool for the grandkids. I'm gonna tell you, unless you have the real estate and the budget to design a pondless waterfall that has a pool in it midway down, then there's just not a place for the kids to interact and have that experience that they have with an entire ecosystem pond. The last thing's money, guys. Talking about a pondless waterfall, everybody just like, oh, we'll just throw one in real quick. It's not much different cost than a pond. You're not gonna get a pondless waterfall because you're gonna save money over getting a pond. Let's move on to Fountainscapes. I can't really think of anything else that I'm gonna tell you that you're not gonna like about a pondless waterfall. Let's talk pros about fountains, guys. You can still do super cool with the Fountainscape. There's literally nothing that you can't build a fountain out of. So you're not limited artistically when you do a small scale water feature or fountain. And fountains can be massive or they can be small. There's really no stipulations on what size it has to be, what it's made out of. So your options with fountains are pretty much limitless. Real estate requirements for Fountainscapes can be very minimal. I mean, a 5x5 area is enough room to do a small fountain and some plant material around it. So if you want to go tiny, a fountain could be right for you. Fountains are potentially less money than the other styles of water features. So if cost is a major concern to you, a Fountainscape might be a way for you to bring this water into your life and still get it at a price point that you're comfortable with. Did I mention that you can add fire to a Fountainscape? I probably could have said that in the beginning of the video about pondless waterfalls and ponds as well. There's no reason you can't. But I love to add a fire feature into a Fountainscape. And there's fountains that are made specifically for fire. There's ways of adding fire into fountains. Mixing fire and water is super cool. Guys, if safety is a concern to you and having a pool is something that you're worried about based on your site conditions, a Fountainscape might be the perfect feature for you, because you can build a fountain with no actual pooling water in it. So that could potentially be a huge benefit. Guys, there's still no change in the health benefits of having a Fountainscape over other water features. A Fountainscape is 1,000 times better than no water feature at all. It is still a place for you to go sit and relax and connect and enjoy. And the last thing with the fountain, just like a pondless waterfall, you can build a fountain with switches, have your electrician set it up so that the fountain's only on when you want it to, and you can easily turn it off when you leave. You can easily design a Fountainscape where all the water drains down subgrade when you turn the power off, so that's not a problem either. Guys, here I sit in the middle of my two fountains, and I just want to be honest with you. If you've got the money to build a fountain and you've got a place to put a fountain, I can't think of a good reason not to have one. They're just amazing. These are super subtle. They're quiet, and still yet, when I open my screen door at night, this is the sound I hear. And it is so therapeutic and relaxing. At night, the lights in these things flicker up in the treetops. If you've got the money, you should have one, honey. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Guys, I appreciate you joining me for this video. Do me a favor, you know the routine. Like, comment, subscribe, swing the sledge, hit the bell, and you'll get notified every time we get out a new video. Appreciate you all joining me. Thanks for hanging out with the Adams family and spending time with us at the Oasis here at Modern Design Aquascaping. John G. out.